He signed the contract with shaking confidence, believing he'd just secured the deal of his lifetime. The champagne arrived, golden and perfect, while 20 investors watched him toast to a future built on lies. She appeared at his shoulder with a tray of desserts, her voice barely a whisper in flawless Italian. What she said next made his blood turn cold and his entire world collapse in seconds. Would you trust a complete stranger who risks everything to save you from losing it all? To understand how one whispered sentence changed everything, we need to go back to the moment his empire began to crumble. Marcus Hale sat in the private dining room of Celestia, one of Manhattan's most exclusive restaurants, surrounded by men in tailored suits and women dripping in diamonds. The room smelled like imported leather and aged wine. Crystal chandeliers threw soft light across marble floors. Everything gleamed with wealth and power. The walls were covered in dark wood panels that probably cost more than most people's cars. Golden fixtures caught the light at every angle. Everyone here had money. Everyone here had power. And tonight, Marcus was about to join their ranks in a way that would change his life forever. He adjusted his cufflinks and tried to steady his breathing. His palms were sweating despite the cool air conditioning. His heart hammered against his ribs like it was trying to escape. Across the table sat Victor Rinaldi, a silver-haired man with sharp eyes and a smile that never quite reached them. Victor owned half of Europe's luxury hotel chains and had flown to New York specifically for this meeting. His suit probably cost $20,000. His watch was worth more than a house. Next to him sat his business partner, a woman named Claudia De Santo, elegant and cold, her red lips barely moving when she spoke. She wore diamonds that caught the light every time she breathed. Her perfume filled the air with something expensive and dangerous. They were offering Marcus something he had dreamed about for years. A partnership. An investment. A gateway into the world of billionaires. Marcus had built his tech company from nothing. He had worked 16-hour days for 7 years straight. He had slept in his office more times than he could count. He had survived on coffee and determination and the belief that someday, somehow, it would all pay off. He had missed birthdays and holidays. He had lost friends who got tired of waiting for him to have time. He had sacrificed relationships and health and peace of mind. But now, finally, his software platform was attracting attention. The right kind of attention. Victor and Claudia wanted to invest $50 million. $50 million. The number still made him dizzy. In exchange, Marcus would give them 30% ownership and access to his special technology systems. It was a standard deal. A fair deal. A life-changing deal. Or so he thought. Victor slid the contract across the table. The paper was thick, expensive, the kind that whispered wealth with every touch. Marcus scanned the sections. Everything looked perfect. His lawyer had reviewed it twice and given approval. His accountant had approved the numbers and called it the opportunity of a lifetime. This was it. This was the moment he became untouchable. This was the moment all the suffering and sacrifice finally made sense. He picked up the pen. It was heavy in his hand, probably solid gold. His hand trembled slightly, but not from fear. From excitement. From relief. From the overwhelming knowledge that after tonight, after this one signature, he would never struggle again. No more sleepless nights worrying about payroll. No more stress about making rent on his office space. No more wondering if he had made the right choice all those years ago when he quit his stable job to chase this dream. Victor raised his champagne glass. The crystal caught the light like liquid fire. The other investors around the table did the same. 12 glasses rose in unison, a toast to success and wealth and the future. Marcus signed his name at the bottom of the contract, his signature bold and confident. The pen scratched across the expensive paper with a sound that felt like destiny. Applause rippled through the room. Someone clapped him on the shoulder. Another man shook his hand with a grip that was too tight, too enthusiastic. Claudia smiled, though her eyes remained unreadable, like dark pools that reflected nothing back. The waitstaff entered with trays of champagne and desserts. The glasses clinked softly. The desserts looked like works of art, too beautiful to eat. Marcus barely noticed them. He was too busy shaking hands, accepting congratulations, imagining his future. Victor was already talking about office spaces in Milan and launch events in Dubai. He painted pictures with his words, visions of success and expansion and wealth beyond imagination. Claudia was discussing press releases and media coverage, her voice smooth and professional. She mentioned magazines and television interviews and appearances at exclusive events. Everything was moving so fast. Everything was perfect. Marcus felt like he was floating. A young waitress approached his side. She was maybe 25, dark hair pulled back into a tight bun, simple black uniform that blended into the background. She placed a small plate of dessert in front of him. It looked like some kind of cake with layers of cream and chocolate. Marcus nodded politely, not really looking at her. He was focused on Victor, who was explaining the timeline for the first transfer of funds. 25 million would arrive within the week. The rest would follow in 30 days. Marcus could barely breathe. Then the waitress leaned in close, her voice barely audible, speaking in rapid Italian. Her words were quick and urgent and terrifying. This is not real. The contract is fake. They are stealing your company. Marcus froze. Time seemed to stop. The sounds of the room faded into a distant buzzing. His Italian was perfect. He had spent 3 years working in Rome during his early 20s, living in a tiny apartment and learning the language from native speakers. He understood every single word she had just said. Every syllable hit him like a physical blow. This is not real. The contract is fake. They are stealing your company. He turned to look at her, his heart suddenly pounding so hard he thought everyone could hear it. His throat went dry. His hands started to shake. She did not meet his eyes. Her face remained blank, professional, like she had said nothing at all. She simply placed a folded napkin next to his dessert plate and walked away, her steps quiet and measured. Marcus stared at the napkin. His hands were cold. His throat was tight. He felt like he might be sick. He glanced around the table. Everyone was still celebrating, still talking, still drinking champagne like the world was perfect. Victor was laughing at something Claudia had said, his head thrown back, his teeth white and perfect. No one had noticed the waitress. No one had heard her words. No one knew that Marcus's entire world had just shattered. Marcus unfolded the napkin slowly, keeping it below the edge of the table where no one could see. His fingers trembled. Inside, written in neat handwriting with black ink, were 3 words in English. Check clause 17. His pulse roared in his ears like an ocean. His vision narrowed. He felt hot and cold at the same time. He pulled the contract toward him, trying to look casual, trying to keep his expression neutral. He flipped through the pages as casually as he could manage, though his hands were shaking now. Not from excitement anymore. From fear. From doubt. From the horrible, crushing suspicion that something was terribly, catastrophically wrong. He found clause 17. It was buried near the back, on page 43, written in dense legal language that was designed to be confusing. His eyes scanned the words once, twice, 3 times. And then he saw it. The poison hidden in plain sight. The clause stated that in the event of any dispute regarding intellectual property rights, ownership of all special technology would immediately transfer to the investment partners pending arbitration. And arbitration would take place in a private court in Luxembourg, under laws that heavily favored European investors. There would be no jury, no public record, no appeal process. Marcus felt sick. His stomach twisted. He read it again, hoping he had misunderstood. But he had not. The language was deliberately confusing, designed to look like standard legal protection for investors. But it was not. It was a trap. A carefully constructed trap that had been waiting for him to step into it. If Victor and Claudia ever claimed there was a dispute about the technology, and they could claim anything, they could seize his entire company. And with arbitration in Luxembourg under their chosen laws, Marcus would have almost no legal recourse. He would lose everything. His company. His technology. His future. Everything he had built over 7 years of blood and sweat and tears. He looked up slowly. Victor was watching him now, his smile still in place, but his eyes were different. Calculating. Like a predator watching prey realize it had been caught. Claudia had stopped talking. She was staring at Marcus with an expression that made his skin crawl. Her red lips curved slightly, like she knew. Like she had been waiting for this exact moment. Marcus forced himself to smile. It felt like his face might crack. He picked up his champagne glass and took a sip, even though his stomach was churning and he thought he might vomit. He needed time. He needed to think. He needed to figure out what to do next without letting them know he knew. "Excuse me for a moment," he said, his voice somehow steady. "I need to make a quick call." Victor's smile widened. His eyes glittered. "Of course. Take your time." Marcus stood and walked toward the restroom, his legs unsteady. He felt like he was walking through water. Every step took enormous effort. He could feel their eyes on his back, burning into him. He pushed through the heavy door and leaned against the marble sink, his breath coming fast and shallow. His reflection stared back at him from the gold-framed mirror. Panicked. He looked like a ghost. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and called his lawyer. It rang 5 times and went to voicemail. He tried his accountant. Same thing. Voicemail. It was late. No one was answering. He wanted to scream. He wanted to run out of the restaurant and never look back. But he could not. Not yet. Not until he knew for sure what was happening. He splashed cold water on his face. His hands were still shaking. He took deep breaths, trying to calm down, trying to think clearly. The waitress had risked something to warn him. She had spoken in Italian because she knew he would understand. She had given him specific information. Check clause 17. She knew. Somehow, she knew what Victor and Claudia were doing. He stepped back into the hallway and looked around. The restaurant was quieter now. Most of the other diners had left. The main dining room was nearly empty. He spotted the waitress near the kitchen entrance, stacking empty plates on a tray. He walked toward her quickly, his heart pounding. "Excuse me," he said in Italian, keeping his voice low. "What you said? How did you know?" She glanced at him, her expression careful. Her eyes darted around, checking if anyone was watching. "I cannot talk here. Please. I need to understand." She hesitated. Fear flickered across her face. Then she nodded toward a side door near the back of the restaurant. 5 minutes. Meet me in the alley behind the building." Marcus returned to the dining room. His legs felt like lead. Victor and Claudia were deep in conversation now, their heads close together, speaking in low voices. They looked up when he entered. He forced another smile, though it felt like his face might shatter. "I am sorry, I am not feeling well. I think I need some air." Victor stood immediately, concern flooding his face. But his eyes remained cold. "Of course. Do you need a doctor?" No. I will be fine. Just give me a few minutes." He walked out through the main entrance, his heart racing. The cool night air hit his face. He circled the building quickly, his footsteps echoing on the pavement, and slipped into the narrow alley behind the restaurant. The air was cold and damp. It smelled like garbage and rain. The sounds of the city echoed off the brick walls. A distant siren wailed. Cars rushed past on the street beyond. The waitress appeared a moment later, pulling off her apron with quick, nervous movements. She looked nervous. Afraid. Her eyes kept darting back toward the restaurant entrance. "Who are you?" Marcus asked, his voice harsh with fear and desperation. "My name is Sophia," she said quietly. "I used to work for Victor Rinaldi." Marcus felt his chest tighten. The air seemed to leave his lungs. "Used to? I was his assistant. In Milan. 2 years ago." She crossed her arms, shivering slightly in the cold night air. She was not wearing a jacket. Goosebumps covered her bare arms. He did this same thing to another man. A businessman from Germany. His name was Henrik Muller. He had built a medical technology company. Something about diagnostic equipment. Victor and Claudia convinced him to sign a contract just like yours. Almost identical. The same trap hidden in the same clause. 6 months later, they claimed a dispute over the technology patents and took everything. Henrik lost his company. He lost his home. He lost his life savings. Everything he had worked for. He tried to fight it in court, but the arbitration system destroyed him. The laws in Luxembourg are designed for situations exactly like this. He never had a chance. Marcus stared at her. His mind was racing. His hands were clenched into fists. Why did you not say something sooner? Why did you not warn him before it was too late? I did not know until it was too late. I was just an assistant. I scheduled meetings and answered phones and filed paperwork. I did not understand what they were doing. I did not see the pattern. Her voice cracked. Tears filled her eyes. Henrik killed himself 3 months after he lost everything. He jumped from his apartment balcony. 10 stories. I found out from the news. I quit the next day. I could not work for Victor anymore. I could not be part of that world. Marcus felt cold, numb, like ice water was running through his veins. A man had died because of what Victor and Claudia had done. And Marcus had almost become the next victim. Why are you helping me? You could lose your job. They could come after you. Because I cannot let it happen again. She looked at him with desperate, fierce eyes. I have been working in high-end restaurants for 2 years, always watching, waiting, hoping I might get another chance to stop them. When I saw you walk into Celestia tonight, I recognized the look on your face. The exact same look Henrik had. Excitement. Trust. Complete absolute trust. Her voice broke. I could not let them destroy you too. I could not live with myself if I stayed silent again. Marcus wanted to thank her. He wanted to tell her she was brave and good and that she might have just saved his life. But there was no time for sentiment. No time for anything except action. He needed to move. What do I do? I already signed the contract. The contract is not legally binding until it is filed with the corporate registry, Sophia said quickly. That happens tomorrow morning at 9. You have maybe 12 hours to stop it. Maybe less if they decide to file it early. 12 hours. The words hit Marcus like a punch. 12 hours to undo the biggest mistake of his life. How do I stop it? You need a lawyer. Someone who specializes in international corporate fraud. Someone who is not afraid of people like Victor. She pulled a small storage drive from her pocket. It was tiny, black, cold when she pressed it into his palm. I kept records. Everything I could find before I quit. Emails between Victor and Claudia. Documents showing how they structured the deal with Henrik. Communications with their lawyers in Luxembourg. Bank transfer records showing how they moved Henrik's assets once they seized control. It is all here. Everything you need to prove what they are doing. Marcus took the drive with shaking hands. It felt impossibly light for something that might save his entire future. Why do you still have this? Why did you keep it? Because I knew they would do it again. Sophia's voice was fierce now, almost angry. People like Victor and Claudia do not stop. They do not feel guilt. They do not change. They find a system that works and they repeat it over and over. I have been watching them for 2 years. Tracking their movements. Following their business deals in the news. When I saw you walk into this restaurant tonight with that look on your face, I knew. I just knew. Her eyes filled with tears again. I could not let them destroy another person. I could not let another Henrik happen. Marcus wanted to collapse. He wanted to break down. But he could not afford to fall apart. Not now. Not yet. He slipped the storage drive into his pocket and nodded. I need to go. I need to find a lawyer right now. Be careful, Sophia said, her voice urgent. Victor is dangerous when he is cornered. He has connections everywhere. Police. Judges. Politicians. If he finds out you know about the clause, if he suspects anything, he will move fast. He will destroy evidence. He will file the contract early. He will do whatever it takes to finish what he started. Marcus nodded. His throat was too tight to speak. He turned and walked quickly toward the street, his mind already racing through options. He needed a lawyer. He needed someone tough. Someone fearless. Someone who could move fast and fight hard. He left the alley and walked quickly down the sidewalk, away from Celestia. He pulled out his phone and started searching for corporate fraud lawyers in New York. His fingers moved fast across the screen. Names and numbers blurred together. Then he found one. Rachel Torres. Her website said she specialized in international corporate fraud. Her reviews said she was ruthless. Her win record was impressive. Marcus needed ruthless. He called her office. It was almost midnight, but the phone rang 3 times and someone answered. A woman's voice, sharp and alert. Torres Law. This is Rachel. My name is Marcus Hale, he said, his words tumbling out fast. I need help. Tonight. Right now. I signed a fraudulent contract and I have maybe 12 hours to stop it from being filed. There was a pause. Then Rachel's voice came back, all business. Come to my office. I will be waiting. Marcus climbed into a taxi and gave the driver an address in Midtown. The city rushed past the windows in a blur of lights and shadows. His heart would not stop pounding. As the car pulled away from the curb, he glanced back toward Celestia. Victor was standing in the doorway, his silhouette dark against the golden light inside. Even from a distance, even through the taxi window, Marcus could see the suspicion in his posture. Victor knew something was wrong. He knew Marcus had figured it out. The taxi dropped him at a small law office building. Rachel Torres was waiting in the lobby. She was maybe 40, sharp eyes, dark suit, no jewelry except a simple watch. She looked like she had not slept in days, but her eyes were bright and alert. She shook his hand with a firm grip. Come upstairs. Her office was small but organized. Law books lined every wall. Her desk was covered in papers and files. Marcus handed her the storage drive and explained everything. Sophia's warning. The hidden clause. The man in Germany who had lost everything and then killed himself. Victor and Claudia's pattern of fraud. Rachel listened in complete silence, her expression growing darker with every word. When he finished, she plugged the drive into her computer. For 10 minutes, she read through the documents in silence. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes narrowed. Her fingers moved fast across the keyboard, clicking through files, reading emails, examining bank records. Finally, she looked up. Her expression was grim but determined. This is fraud, she said flatly. Clear, deliberate, systematic fraud. They have done this before. Multiple times. The documents on this drive prove intent. They prove a pattern. They prove conspiracy. She leaned back in her chair. If we move fast, we can stop the contract from being filed and potentially bring criminal charges against both of them. Marcus felt a surge of relief so strong it almost knocked him over. His knees went weak. What do we need to do? We file an emergency injunction with the court. Tonight. We will argue that you were deceived and that the contract contains fraudulent clauses specifically designed to steal your intellectual property. With this evidence, we have a very strong case. She paused, her eyes serious. But you need to understand something. Victor Rinaldi has money. Serious money. He has power. He has connections. Judges. Politicians. Media. He will fight this with everything he has. This will not be easy. I do not care, Marcus said. His voice was hard now. Determined. I am not letting him win. I am not letting him take what I built. And I am not letting him do this to anyone else ever again. Rachel smiled grimly. Good. Then let us get to work. They spent the next 6 hours preparing the emergency injunction. Rachel drafted the legal arguments while Marcus provided every detail he could remember about the meeting, the contract, the investors, and everything Sophia had told him. Rachel's fingers flew across her keyboard. She pulled case law. She built arguments. She constructed a narrative that was airtight and devastating. By 4 a.m, they were ready. Rachel filed the injunction electronically with the court. Now they had to wait. Marcus sat in Rachel's office, exhausted and wired at the same time. His eyes burned. His body ached. But he could not sleep. He could not relax. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know what you are doing. Do not. His blood ran cold. He showed the message to Rachel. She frowned, her expression hard. Block the number. Do not respond. Do not engage. But Marcus could not shake the feeling that Victor was watching him somehow. Tracking him. Planning his next move. The sun rose over Manhattan. Orange light spilled across the buildings. The city began to wake up. At 8 a.m, Rachel's phone rang. She answered, listened for 30 seconds, then hung up. She looked at Marcus. Her expression was carefully neutral, but he could see relief in her eyes. The injunction has been granted. The contract cannot be filed until a full hearing takes place. You are safe. For now. Marcus wanted to collapse. He wanted to cry. He wanted to sleep for 3 days. But the fight was not over yet. 2 days later, Marcus sat in a courtroom across from Victor and Claudia. Their lawyers were expensive, polished, and aggressive. 3 men in suits that probably cost $50,000 each. They argued that Marcus had signed the contract willingly. They argued that he had legal representation who had reviewed everything. They argued that there was no fraud, only a business disagreement. But Rachel was ready. She stood and presented the evidence from Sophia's storage drive. She showed emails where Victor and Claudia discussed how to hide the problematic clause. She showed documents proving they had used this exact same contract structure with Henrik Muller and 2 other victims before him. She presented bank records showing how they had systematically drained the assets of the companies they stole. She even brought testimony from Henrik's widow, a woman who flew in from Germany to tell the court how Victor and Claudia had destroyed her family. The judge listened carefully. His expression remained neutral, but his eyes were sharp. After 2 hours of arguments, he called for a brief recess. When he returned, his decision was clear. The contract is void. All claims by the investment partners are dismissed. The evidence presented shows a clear pattern of fraudulent behavior designed to deceive and steal from the plaintiff. I am also referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal investigation. Victor's face went pale. All the color drained from his skin. Claudia stood abruptly and stormed out of the courtroom, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. Marcus watched them go, his heart still pounding but his body flooding with relief. Outside the courthouse, Sophia was waiting. She looked nervous but hopeful. Marcus walked over to her, Rachel at his side. "Thank you," he said quietly. "You saved my life. You saved everything I built. You saved my future." Sophia smiled. Tears streamed down her face. "I just could not let it happen again. I could not live with myself if I stayed silent." Marcus made a decision right there on the courthouse steps. "I want to offer you a job. A real job. Head of operations for my company. Good salary. Real benefits. A future." Sophia's eyes went wide. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious. I need people I can trust. People with courage. People who do the right thing even when it is hard." Marcus held out his hand. "What do you say?" Sophia took his hand and shook it, tears still falling. "Thank you." 3 months later, Marcus's company was thriving. The attempted fraud had made news. Investors who valued integrity reached out. His company grew faster than he had ever imagined. Victor and Claudia were facing criminal charges in 3 countries. Their assets had been frozen. Their reputations were destroyed. And Marcus had hired Sophia as his head of operations. She was brilliant. She was loyal. She was fearless. She was exactly what his company needed. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city breathe below them. The lights flickered and glowed. People moved through the streets like rivers of humanity. And for the first time in months, Marcus felt truly safe. Truly grateful. Truly alive. Some whispers are louder than screams. Some strangers become the heroes we never knew we needed. Some deals that glitter are wrapped in shadows. And sometimes, one voice in the right moment saves everything. If you want more stories of hidden truths and last-second rescues, explore our channel. Would you have trusted Sophia's warning, or signed the contract anyway? Like/share/subscribe. If this story moved you, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more powerful stories. Thanks for loving Reddit Storyteller.